Okay. Welcome to the May 13th, 2008 joint public meeting, the Glendale City Council and Glendale Redevelopment Agency. Mr. City Clerk, could we have roll call for the council?
Council members Najarian. Here. Quintero. Here. Weaver. Here. Yusefian. Mayor Draymond.
Here.
And roll call for the agency, please.
Agency members Draymond. Here. Quintero. Here. Weaver. Here. Yusefian. Chairman Najarian.
Here. Artie, if you can go ahead and load that up for me.
You want my report first on the particular joint meeting?
Yeah, actually, let's do that. Let's do the report, and then if you would load that up for me.
Agenda for the May 13, 2008 joint public meeting of the Glendale City Council and Glendale Redevelopment Agency was posted on Thursday, May 2008 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Thank you, Artie, for keeping us on track, keeping me on track there. A few weeks ago, our colleague, Councilor Yusefian, mentioned us that we were getting along so well lately that he felt we should all go, quote, dancing out of this chamber arm in arm, which we thought that's a very interesting image. And so it being that we're talking about the arts today and dance being part of the arts and arm in arm, let's take a look. There's an audio also.
Hey, who paid for this?
Hang on.
Who paid?
We need the audio.
Who paid for this?
When he gets has his arm so far, dude.
Going out worldwide, you know. They're going to be the laughing stock and the dancing stock in the world. What's that radio show that runs?
Good job, one and all. I had no idea you were all that limber.
Encore!
And just be thankful I didn't do this at the 6 o'clock meeting. Anyway. Yes. And by the way, you're all the opening act at the Alex's new season.
It's our newest enterprise fund.
Oh my goodness!
All righty.
Did you do that?
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
You are talented.
Well, not as talented as five of us together.
I'm scared of what you could do with that kind of talent.
We have a remarkable capacity to work together. See? Okay. Anyway, could we hear the item at 1, A, B, and C, please, Mr. City Clerk?
Sure. At 1 is Director of Development Services regarding restructuring of the Alex Regional Theater Art Board with Glendale Arts. At 1A is a council motion approving the Glendale Arts bylaws, restated articles of incorporation, proposed organizational structure, 5-year strategic plan, operations budget, and funding plan. At 1B is agency motion approving the management agreement between Glendale Arts and the Glendale Redevelopment Agency. And at 1C is agency motion approving the lease by and between the Glendale Redevelopment Agency and the Glendale Arts for lease of the historic Alex Theater.
Thank you. Let's go to Phil Ensman, I believe, who will undoubtedly kick it to someone else.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to make some introductory comments, but I'm not sure that they can hold up to the art that you've just shown us. But art is important.
In the category of in the eye of the beholder.
In the eye of the beholder, yes. Most definitely. Art is important, and it actually is arts and culture is part of the mission statement of the Redevelopment Agency. And in 1993, after the theater was rehabbed, the agency entered into several agreements for the operation of the theater and oversight by the Alex Regional Theater Board. Very shortly after that, the plan for operation started to sputter, and the art board stepped in and has since operated the theater, not necessarily in the manner that it was originally envisioned, but over the years we have made some modifications to practice, and we have brought the theater to the point where it is today. The theater does get support from the Redevelopment Agency, And looking at the sunset of the redevelopment agency in 2015, members of the art board with staff started to look at ways to increase the revenue, to act and operate more efficiently so that, as was originally envisioned, the theater could operate on its own. And with that, the effort of Glendale Arts came about to both operate the theater and to become an umbrella organization for arts on the private side. So I am going to kick it over now to Barry McComb, who's the executive director of the Alex Regional Theater, to give you a short presentation on the Glendale Arts effort. He'll be followed by Elena Bobolian that will give you just the highlights of both the management agreement and the lease agreement, and then we'll be here for questions. I know that there are some members of the art board in the audience, as well as local merchants that are supportive of the effort.
Barry
McComb.
Mr. McComb, I just want to mention to you, I'd like to try to get to a vote on this by 4 because of our schedule. So think we can do that between you and Elena?
Thank you for allowing me to give my report. Any questions?
Okay, thank you. And Elena? Oh, echo that. Okay. Thank you. Do I have questions from my colleagues?
Oh, just one.
Yes.
Naming rights.
Okay.
What does it mean by naming rights of the arts?
One of the ways that venues tend to raise money is by going out and selling naming rights to various aspects.
Right.
The most extreme case would be, it could be for example, Wells Fargo Alex Theater.
Right.
That's extreme. We could have someone purchase the rights to have the terrace named after them, or the second-story lobby bar area. And what the agreement is saying, that if we go out and actually are successful in selling any naming rights, that money remains with the Alex Theater going into the reserve accounts.
And do you come back to the agency to get our approval of dealing with the historic Alex Theater and giving names?
That is something that we have added to the agreement. We had the same reaction.
The answer is yes.
Okay.
Because I don't want to see like the General Growth Alex Theater. See, it's the Alex Theater, period.
It would come back to you.
Okay.
And we would be very sensitive in our efforts to go down that path.
Mr. Quintero.
Yeah, let me say that while I'm certainly a proponent of entrepreneurial thinking when it comes to the arts, giving the Alex Theater a corporate name, I have no interest in that, no matter what the corporation is. As a matter of fact, some cities, including San Francisco, when that monster Candlestick agreement is over, that's it. Candlestick Park in San Francisco will not have another corporate name. And there have just been, time after time where corporations get the name for these stadiums and then go belly up a few years later. So all in all, I'm not interested in that.
Councilmember Najarian.
I have a couple questions. Number one, with regard to the lease, just so I understand what we're doing here, it's between the agency and Glendale Arts, and is there an actual rental amount? Is it like for $1 or something, $1 a year, or?
No, it's not a monetary consideration.
Okay.
There's other consideration that supports the lease.
Okay.
And that's at under Rent Article 5.2.
5.2, no money paid. Okay. And the redevelopment agency sunsets in 2015.
That is when we can stop incurring debt in
the central
would
project.
be assisting this project.
Okay. So if we do a death throes bond, does the agency still maintain its existence, or only our ability to collect the increment?
Your project area essentially terminates. You can continue to collect your tax increment as long as you're paying on established debt within the time frames established by state law. One of those, of course, is the debt outstanding to the general fund as well.
Okay. So this lease terminates 2015 because the project area terminates.
That's how we set this lease up.
The property then reverts to the city,
Yes.
agency-owned property. So would it be our intention then to execute a new lease with the city and the arts, or
We-
potentially?
Potentially.
There are provisions in this lease to extend it, should you choose, and we pegged it to 2015. The hope and prayer in the business plan is to be self-sufficient by that time. So the city could look at it in 2015 and say, there's no assistance needed, we'd like to renew this arrangement. They could say, there's $100,000 we want to renew.
The city is a permitted successor or assign.
Mr. City Manager.
I would just want, relative to the lease, as I read it, it's actually a year-to-year lease. It's got a term, but there's a one-year termination notice, as I recall.
Yes.
So effectively, although you got a longer term, you can terminate with a one-year notice. So you've really got almost a year-to-year lease with an intent to have it be longer. As I recall, there were two or three 5-year extensions. But again, it's still a one-year termination notice. So under any circumstance.
Okay, then with regard to the management agreement, which is between the agency and the arts, it's a $415,000 a year fee, which is currently what we're subsidizing the Alex Theater.
That's correct.
Now, what, and a lot of the things that we've been doing when we talk with Barry is how can we make it more efficient, how can we get more revenue, how can we bring in more uses, et cetera. And what if we're successful in that? And or perhaps the cost, the market rate at which people are willing to pay for renting the theater go way up. Aren't we then allocating too much for the management? Or conversely, what if the theater needs a lot more than $415,000? Shouldn't that be a decision that the council makes each year at budget time? Which is currently how we do it now, don't we?
It is how you currently do it now. I certainly won't speak for Mr. McComb, but the Glendale Arts, if they were going to operate this and take on the obligation of maintaining and everything, wanted to know that revenue stream was in place for at least the next 7 years. That's how they calculated in their business plan to get to self-sufficiency. If they find that they need more than 415, that's the Glendale Arts obligation then to make that up through whatever revenues they have made on, I'll call it the other side of the house.
What if that's in the shortfall department? What if they do an exceptionally good job, like I know Barry is ready to do, and they don't necessarily need in quotation marks the 415.
Actually, if I can answer that, that actually is written in there.
And what does that...
surpluses roll into the long-term capital and maintenance fund, so that once we pass 2015, we'll have this large fund that will then be able to help subsidize the future maintenance and capital needs of the theater beyond the sunset of the agency.
So this is the annual cash surplus,
Correct.
definition that we have.
Correct.
And if I can add to that, we've required that money can only be used for those purposes for supporting the Alex on an ongoing basis.
Okay. No more questions, Mr.
All right. Councilmember Yusefian, anything?
I will tell you, honestly, if you think you're going to get to a point that you're not going to need any subsidy, may God be with you. But then again, I lived here long enough to have seen Alex rise from the ashes to where it is today. Gone through several management agreements with outsiders who went belly up and couldn't do it. Having the city so-called art board that were in charge and had programs and they lost money left and right and they couldn't do it. But I'm a person that doesn't give hope very much, because if I did, I wouldn't even run for office in the first place. Give it a try. I'm willing to vote for it. I'm willing to give you the tools, all the tools you need to get it done, instead of going in there and modifying, saying you can have this tool, but you can't have that tool. Because the minute I do that, then you're not going to be able to work. None of this stuff is going to work out. So I'll let you try it for 7 years. I don't think it can be any worse than what we have done. I'm just hoping that it'll be a lot better. That's where I stand on it.
Councilmember Quintero.
Well, I do think this is going to move us in the right direction. Number one, Barry, because you're going to continue to lead the charge. And then when I look in the audience and I see the members of the board, I think this will rise and fall on the strength of its board members. And I do think you have a very good core group that I think is going to add value to what you're trying to do. And, of course, this legal structure makes it a lot easier for you to accomplish the goals. So all in all, I think, every year I believe there's going to be an improvement in the operation and what's available for the arts in Glendale in general. And I kind of like the whole umbrella concept. So I'm excited about it, and I know the board members are going to work hard to make sure that we have a successful transition.
Thank you. Mr. Weaver.
Well, I'm sure there's other people out there like you, Barry, that could do it. But you're the only one in sight. So you better not leave. Because if
There's a clause in the contract, the management agreement.
I don't know if it's in there. It's got to be in there somewhere.
By name.
Lock you in, because what you've done has been so great with the Alex. I think there's ways to make that additional revenue so the general fund doesn't have to start supporting it in the years to come. And it has to be somebody like you that put this together. I'm not to think that other people came in and told you. I know you looked at other agreements. You've been around a long time. You know what you're doing. And, yeah, as Mr. Sevens said, we just got to let you go ahead and do your best. And we know we're going to get the best by you doing it.
Yeah, so, we've got a great team behind us that's going to help us get to the finish line.
Mr. Yusefian.
There's one thing that's not in this agreement.
The can show from earlier? Or?
No.
He missed it.
No, there's nothing in here. In case he goes to the glory upstairs.
Always
legal department?
Yeah, legal department. If it goes to the legal department.
Security?
That's the only way he has out.
No,
do we get insurance for that? Can we buy insurance
if you're going
for
on one of
that?
those hiking trips and don't come back, then we got a problem.
Yeah, don't go. No vacations for you.
I have a number of speaker cards. Let me ask of there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is there anyone here speaking in opposition? No.
Don't ruin it for yourselves.
No. Are you interested in speaking? If you are, we will take the time to hear from you.
No.
All right. I think they're indicating for us to yes, sir.
I'll move 1A. City Council.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Mr. City Clerk?
Council members Najarian,
Yes.
Quintero,
Yes.
Weaver,
Aye.
Yusefian,
Aye.
Mayor Draymond.
Yes.
And adjourned to
For the
move
agency.
1B and C for the agency.
Second.
B and C have been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Agency members Draymond,
Yes.
Quintero,
Yes.
Weaver,
Aye.
Yusefian,
Aye.
Chairman Najarian.
Yes.
I want to thank you.
Yeah, thanks for your reports.
And yes, Mr.
Move to adjourn for council.
So second.
Okay.
move to adjourn for, agency.
Council's adjourned.
Second.
Agencies adjourned.
Thank you.